Maybe I'll say some few words of like a few words of reality check, or a few words of encouragement. Sometimes people, they just recently on some of the retreats, I was narrating the story of, back in the day when I was in a monastery in Japan. Every once in a while there was some, usually American fellow, coming to the monastery and kind of having this real confidence that I'm going to do this training and I will stay in the temple for X number of years and get this spiritual Buddhist thing done. But then when the first week-long retreat was about to begin, and the daily routine of practice are really demanding, because you wake up at 3:40, you go to sleep at 10 in the evening, and then for the whole day you're up and practicing, most of the time sitting, and everybody knows that it's physically very painful no matter who you are. It's very painful. I was, about 25 years old back then, and it was, for a young person, to me it was also very painful. So it doesn't matter, regardless of your age, when you do that much sitting practice, it's gonna hurt. So all these stories were lingering in the air, and the Zen master of the temple, Harada Roshi, on the first evening he always gave what is directly translated as talk of encouragement, kokuho. And of course, maybe he really tries to encourage you, but he really scares the shit out of you. And especially if you've never done a 7-day Zen retreat, you might get terrified about the encouragement talk. So what happened on regular basis was that this new guy who came in and was full of confidence, Zen is really my thing and I will do this and I will get awakened. But then they heard the kokuho and they know what was coming during the 7 days, so they split. They packed their stuff and nobody ever saw that person again. Yeah, so, but if any of you had split this retreat yesterday, well, our training is very different in nature. Like today, like yesterday, we lied down several times. The reason why we do that is because we just can't keep up that, the charge gets so strong that if we didn't rest, we would get tired in a few hours and we couldn't practice for the rest of the day. So, doing like high intensity practice and then lying down, it enables us to do it again. So that's why we do it like we do. So it's a very different type of practice compared to, let's say, Zen practice, where you don't do that and you don't lie down. You just sit and do your own practice, whatever the assigned practice might be. But even then, we are wrestling and struggling with real internal demons. All these emotional states that are very hard at times to face. Very hard at times. And I don't definitely blame anyone for, if you need to split the retreat, I don't blame anybody for doing so, because sometimes it takes time to be able to face our darkness, face our greed, face our fear, crippling fear, face our anger, like demonic anger. Face that darkness in us. And it is like that throughout the whole path. We have dark times, dark nights, as they are called. That's a term borrowed from the Christians, dark night. So we have dark nights, hard, difficult periods. If somebody has proneness to getting depressed, like I had, I have suffered of depression since I was a teenager, and have had at times not a crippling, but kind of a serious depression, I would say. Or if somebody has some kind of substance problem, mild or strong addictions to whatever the substance might be, these during our career of practice, these demons come out, and then at moments they might get an overhand of us. They might get a hold of us. They might get the upper hand. That's what you say. So this also happens. But one thing is that we all start, or let's put it this way, we all should start practice, and especially tantric practice, because we know that we are in trouble with existence. We are in trouble with life because of this self-based contraction. That should be diamond clear since the beginning, since the first day of practice, or at least the second day. And then when we have the fortune to have practices and to be able to practice, have situation in the society where we have food, basic shelter, it's easy to work and make a living, and then have enough leisure, enough time to do practice. And we also have, opportunity to rest. So it's excellent situation to practice. But then when we do practice, even if we at times feel like, oh, this is too much, or you drink a couple of days, you feel like you need to take a break, and you drink or smoke weed, or maybe you use some other substances, okay. But whatever it is, follow through it to the end of the whole path. Have that resolution. Vow to yourself to not get lost on the way. If it is unclear, if the motivation from the beginning is unclear, that you start doing the practice, you learn the practice just kind of curious, or you have some secondary motivations. No, tantric path is not for secondary motivations, like becoming happier or becoming bettering sleep. It's not for that. You have mindfulness practices, simpler practices for that, and they will help you in that. But Tantra is serious. Vajrayana, the tantric vehicle, is serious. The sole purpose of it is to sort out everything, all of our baggage within one lifetime. In this life, in this body. Maybe it takes a couple of years, maybe it takes 10 years to finish the process, but that's the purpose. So if you, and as you have set your feet on this path, go to the end. And it will be demanding throughout the purification process, but there is an end point. You glimpse that goal, you get a taste of the fruit in our daily practice. On this retreat also, we get a taste of that juicy fruit of our basic nature. And when you go through the process, no matter how demanding, how hellish, how awful, how scary you might get, you will be able to sort it out. One-pointed determination. And nobody in the history of history has been able to go, in a one straight line without at moment, like in United States, in some United States, in some states you have these completely straight roads that might be many miles long. You have these photographs where you can see these very long roads that are straight. But if we use that as an analogy, nobody, not a single person, the path from 0 bhumi to all 10 purified is completely straight. Because we are facing real demons of the real darkness that we carry inside in our subconscious mind. And that's why, at moments at least, we know what the goal is and we are determined to get there, but at moments we waver. And that is perfectly fine. This was my encouragement talk. I remember, well, I remember there was something which is really curious is that, gradually you open your bhumis. And when you make holes through the stack of bhumi plates, one after the other up until the 11th and 12th and 13th. Then you have, you have basic state and it doesn't slip away anymore. And you don't need to seek it, it's readily available. And then you start perfecting bhumis, or maybe you have already perfected one or two in the meantime when getting the whole stack appears. But nevertheless, you start perfecting one by one. And then, you start gaining like a true confidence as a person when you have perfected the first 6. Then you really then you have muscle, yogic muscle. You have confidence. Even though you still have dirt in the engine, junk, you already have confidence. And then you work 7, it takes a while, you work 8, and it takes a while, and the whole time from one day to another it feels lighter, but it is demanding and challenging, because the flavor and feel, kind of the texture of self-delusion, energetically, it changes. Of course it doesn't stay the same. When we shoot down the dictator on the first boomy, it will never come back in that same feel, same texture. So it is pointless try to find that very gross subject self anymore, right? It's the same thing throughout. And this is why you need to keep developing sensitivity, and you need to, listen, observe very attentively to be able to detect what you need to be working with. But tantric practice, tantric deities are, there is no way missing, because tantric deities, and especially wrathful ones, they just keep stirring it up and bringing it up to your face, so you can't miss it. But nevertheless, you perfect 7th, you work on 7th, perfect 7th, you work on 8th, you perfect 8th, and it might get slower, the pace at that point. You only have like 2-3 boomies left, 8, 9, 10, but it gets slower, because the delusion gets so subtle, almost as if there was nothing. And yet, like I often use this analogy, that if we have a big tank of fresh, clean water, if you pour 1 drop of poison in there, it will spoil the whole tank. Quite difficult with organic means to remove that 1 drop of poison from a big tank of water. Maybe there is some synthetic chemical that could make it happen in a real water tank, but that's why perfecting the last couple of boomies takes longer, because it gets so fine. But then again, tantric deities, guru yoga is a way to notice, because the deities make you a Buddha, make you clean and clear and pure. And when you are clean and pure, then you can detect the impurities that are left. Same thing with guru yoga. You get guru transmission, you become clean, clear and pure, and then you can detect what is left, what is impure. There is no other way to sort it out. This is why Tantra Vajrayana is the highest vehicle. There is no other way for beings. We are human beings. There is no other way for human beings to sort this out except through a Mahasiddha Guru. This is what Jesus said when he said that no one comes unto the Father except through me. He was making that same principle clear. You need a guru, a Mahasiddha, as a doorway, as a gateway to know yourself. So that's how it works. Hope you had a lovely retreat. Nice 2 days. The next one is, like I said, on Friday evening. The next one in March, it's will be online. So the retreat in Porvoo in Finland, in Helena's relative's mansion, has had to be cancelled. And I think there are a couple of people coming over to Finland and they will stay with me for those days. But nevertheless, there will be 4 days of retreat in March, like this, through Zoom. Liz, go ahead.
Will a timetable change for it then? Because the online timetable for it seems a bit messy at the moment, but if it's going to be completely online, will it change to these hours?
I have to think about it.
Okay.
I'll let
Thank
you
you.
know. So that's the March retreat, and then in April, spring retreat in UK, in Wales. At the moment, and I don't think they will go back to COVID regulations. So at the moment, UK, you can travel there without any having taken vaccines. You don't need to have a passport. You don't need a negative test. You can just travel there. So, you know, it's finally possible to meet each other face to face on spring retreat in April. That would be awesome. And spring retreat will be 6 days this year because we felt like when we finally get together, 6 days is better than 4. There's more time for bad jokes and also some practice. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for retreat fees. And I wish you a nice evening. See you later. Okay? Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
You.
Bye.
My